companion, knowing that my dad was likely having as much fun as the kids he scared. Who knew the tough-as-nails man's man John Fleming, former sheriff and all-around tower of stoic sternness, could giggle like a little kid? I sighed over the remnants of Mom's beautiful cake, the red velvet interior smelling divine, the last few headstones, and a single fondant tree remaining of the graveyard scene, though the crispy castle and the moat of pudding remained. I considered stealing a piece to take home as Petunia waddled her way back to me, sitting at my feet once more, burping abruptly before panting at me like she wouldn't be throwing up later. I felt a bit badly for our mayor, Olivia Walker, and her photo op booth, but honestly, she came dressed in her typical suit, her only nod to the holiday an orange shirt under her dark brown dress jacket. Oh, and a tiny pair of bat earrings I'm sure she had custom-made. She'd been under so much pressure, I worried about her. Saw the strain in her face as she sat very still and stiff, sleek black hair a match to her rigid expression, smiling like it was plastered on. It must have irked her to be ignored, the kids screaming and running and generally having a great time that didn't require anything as formal as a sit-down with our mayor, like she thought she was Halloween Santa or something. Still, she'd done so much for our town since she took over, it was hard to judge her. Okay, not so hard. I'd done some myself, fair enough. Her drive to attract tourism to Reading had succeeded, but not without cost. Things were booming, to the point our town overflowed with visitors, though I wondered sometimes if we might lose sight of who we were if the kind of growth and expansion happening continued at the rate it was. My friend Jared Wilkins was at wit's end these days, though it was a happy set of troubles to have too many projects to build and not enough workers or time to get them done. At least his father's terrible business practices didn't hurt in the end. Jared made everything right that he could, and, considering his dad was an utter fraud and a jerk, having a local boy step up meant a lot. I dolloped some cake onto a little pirate's plate, grinning, "Arrgh, Captain, how's the party?" She looked at me like I'd cracked my walnut and scooted off. At least I tried. Just like Olivia had, bringing up all the pirate treasure stuff, despite the fact the horde of Captain Reading had long been debunked. The idea that the founder of our town hid his gold and jewels somewhere in the area had long been rumored and equally contested. Olivia's statue to Reading and her summer spent doing her best to use the old wives' tale to her advantage had pretty much bombed. I shrugged off the fact my now-deceased grandmother Iris left me clues to that very treasure. There was a good chance it was a goose chase, and I'd pretty much shelved it for the time being. Without any kind of lead past the scrap of map and the doubloon sitting in the music box she left me, I had, at best, bits and pieces of what amounted to a fun story to tell. Except, of course, I hadn't told anyone yet. Outside of Daisy. Silly, but I loved having the secret to myself. The curtain in the far corner moved aside, the beads rattling as one of the parents departed, looking shaken but grinning. I rolled my eyes at myself, at the fortune-teller booth, and the second woman who emerged, dressed like some kind of gypsy who'd clearly been born colorblind and without anything resembling taste. Yes, it was Halloween, except that the few times I'd seen her around town, Sadie Hatch had been dressed pretty much just like she was right now. I quickly looked away, hoping she wouldn't notice me, though I knew it was rude. There was just something about her that gave me the creeps. When she'd moved to Reading a year ago, Daisy begged me to go with her to a séance or something equally ridiculous, and I'd turned her down. From what I'd heard, the older woman, who claimed to be some kind of psychic, was doing a cracking business, so good for her. I stared down at the cake again, mouth watering. Surely I could just sneak a piece. Mom would make me one of my very own. I knew that without